Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Paranormal Peeps podcast. You know, you're so excited. Thanks for coming. We're glad to have you here.
Lots of happy, smiling faces around the table
Pull
tonight.
up a chair, kick off your flute, your shoes, and
and enjoy story time.
Sometimes we get giggly when it gets late at night, which is it's okay. So, anyway, tonight we're going to talk about another place we visited while we were in Montana. Obviously, you listened to the Montana State Prison episodes that we've done. So, when we were leaving Montana, Josh and Jamie really wanted to take us to somewhere that they've been to several times and thought was really cool. And I had no interest in going, I'll be honest. And when we got there, I was like, this place is really cool. I was like, all right. Well,
trust Josh and Jamie.
I know. I wasn't excited to go to the prison at first either, and I had a great time. That was one of my favorite investigations I've ever done. So, yes, I'm trusting the mighty Josh and the illustrious Jamie. They lead me into green pastures.
Hold on, I gotta look up that word.
Illustrious.
Too big of a
At
word.
any rate, so we went to this place. It's called Bannack.
Yes.
Tell us about Bannack, Josh.
It's a little town in the middle of nowhere.
Say that again. Population what?
Zero.
It's a ghost
2,
town.
The park rangers that stay there.
They don't live there. Well, I mean, they don't technically live there. They stay on property, but I don't think they actually live there anymore. So yeah, it is southwest of modern day Dillon, Montana, and then it is 70 miles southwest of Virginia City, Montana. So, and if you've ever been out in that area, ain't nothing out there but sagegrass.
There's like a farm. There was like some rancher's house we drove by.
Well, there's
a couple of those, but yeah.
There's lots of ranchers.
No restaurants, no gas stations,
no cell service,
no 7-Elevens. There was no cell service out
There
there.
were none.
And there's lots of rattlesnakes out there. So if you really want to have some fun with some slithery creatures, you can go find some of those.
Not recommended, though.
No. As it is like 30 miles to the nearest town, or 23 miles-ish. So, and I don't even know if Dillon's got a hospital.
And at that point, do they even have the anti-venom?
Right?
But you know what Dillon did have? On the way up there, we noticed it because we were driving in the dark. They had a carnival there, and it was very exciting to be in the middle of nowhere. And it was dark, and you roll up this town, it's like, oh, look, carnival, Ferris wheel, tilt-a-whirl.
Yeah, we saw them in the daytime, and they weren't lit up.
Yeah.
And then isn't there a drive-in theater there, or was that further up the road?
That's further up. That's by Butte.
Okay. Yeah, we saw that, too. It was like, whoa, wait. It's pitch black dark out here. There's no lights along the freeway, and all of a sudden, boom. There's a drive-in theater.
Was it actually lit?
Yeah, they were watching a couple movies. We couldn't see what they were.
Oh, that's I've never seen that thing lit.
I haven't either.
They had 2 screens going at the moment,
Oh, that's awesome.
but I don't remember exactly where.
Okay,
it
we're
was.
doing that next time.
Right?
Right. Yeah, we're going to have to do that next time. So they also have a Taco John's in Dillon.
Yuck.
Ooh. Well, here's
like
the other thing
Taco
that they
John's.
did have that they didn't have in Bannack. So I went to the restroom to go check out the restroom in there
At Bannack?
in Bannack. Me and this other lady that were headed the same way at the same time, we both decided we'll wait and go to Dillon and then use the bathroom there.
Yeah,
I may or may
was-
not have used that one.
It's the pit ones where there's the big pit underneath.
vault.
and-
Yeah, Josh and
I-
I went and used those right when we got there. It was awful.
I have used a couple of those in Bannack.
It's awful.
You just really hope the fly doesn't go.
Oh! Explain that one to your
Oh,
doctor.
it's the worst when you feel them land on your butt.
I know.
Been there, done that. It's like I can wait.
See, I'm just glad there's not spiders in those ones because that's
That
what
you know.
that's true.
Or ticks.
Oh.
I'm fine with ticks.
We
I
used
don't like
to do this all the
spiders.
time at Bear Lake, the North Beach, the Bear Lake State Park. My
Oh, yeah.
gosh, always spiders. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm taking a cat hole at that point in time, or I'll just hold
and you
it.
gotta go.
I'll hold it.
I just determined I didn't have to go that bad. So anyway, I digress. Back to Bannack.
Back to Bannack. So we'll get into Bannack's got a kind of a fun history. It was actually populated for 100 years. So it was founded in 1862, and the last resident died in 1962. Unfortunately, she had the worst demise. She got ran over by her own car.
Sorry. Sorry.
Okay, so having been to this town, I mean, I'm imagining this place in like 1962. Was it a ghost town at that point?
She was the last living person in Bannack.
Why would you stay there?
Well, because it's your home.
Exactly.
Well, nonetheless,
Maybe she likes to
I've seen
have
this
nobody
place.
around her.
Set in her ways.
Yeah.
it's like living in. If you're familiar with Utah, there's a place in Lagoon called Pioneer Village. It's like Pioneer Village, but like 1,000 times more dilapidated.
Yeah.
Right.
It's true.
It's literally a ghost town. How could you just live there?
I don't know.
It would just too eerie. It's like there's the old abandoned hotel across the street. There's the old abandoned jail.
Maybe she was
Quarantine
doing her
house.
own little ghost hunting at night.
Yeah.
Oh.
She got the whole
I
city
don't
to
know.
herself.
She got ran over by her own car.
They call that the Darwin Award.
Right. No, I do not know how that happened. But she was ran over by her own
She
car.
probably didn't put it in park. And
Yeah.
I can imagine if she's old enough and willing to live out there. I don't know.
Yeah.
what a crappy
And-
way to end.
And the crazy thing is, so
She
I
was
was
found 20 years later.
I was talking with one of the park rangers out there, and I was asking about weather, so Bannack is a state park. It's open year round,
Except for 2 days, wasn't it?
Christmas
and
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, I think.
Yeah.
Those are the only days that my blood donor center is closed.
So,
Well, and you got to think, this place is a desert.
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah,
So weather-wise,
yeah, it's awful. And so I asked her, I said, "How cold does it get in the winter?" So, being from North Dakota, so the really awful neighbor to the east of Montana, right? I'm used to seeing cold weather. So I asked her, like, how cold does it get here? Because, like, you look at these buildings and they're log cabins, right? Essentially, they're log
Essentially,
cabins.
yeah.
And they had, like, a potbelly stove. And she's like, I've seen it as cold as negative 49. And my first question was, air temp or wind chill?
Air temp.
And she's like, that's air temp.
oh man.
Can you imagine it with wind chill? I couldn't.
And so then I got back to thinking, and I was like, so you had these miners out there, right, living in there, and they have this place called Bachelor's Row, right, and it is like shanty town, like basically just put some boards up and
Let's hurry and make a house. And
yeah. And I was like, how did you survive in 49 below? Seriously,
Oh.
They cuddled.
they would have had to have.
I don't know.
At that point, you don't want to be a bachelor. You want to try to find somebody.
Even
cuddle
then,
with.
Even then, those are like the structures with boards and stuff. I mean, when this was in its heyday, this is like mostly a tent city, right?
Right. So let's get into when it was founded and by whom it was founded.
I know. But you say.
But I say. So it was founded by John White in July of 1862. And he was one of the Pike Peakers. So the Pikes Peakers. The Pikes Peakers, they were actually a bunch of individuals who were going out to the gold mines by Gold Creek. So for Gold Creek is the creek where gold was first found in Montana. And so they were trying to go up there. Gold Creek is west of Deer Lodge, Montana. And so they were trying to go up there from the south. So if they would come up from Utah, Idaho area. And they got lost. There's no road signs. There's no maps. And, all the hills look the same. Let's face it. Like one hill of
Crazy
sagebrush.
Oh, yeah.
to find their way anywhere.
Right. And so they got lost. And they got all spread out. Well, he ended up on this creek named Willard's Creek, which he renamed Grasshopper Creek. And why was that, Mike?
Well, it was named Willard's Creek because back when Lewis and Clark went through the area, they named it Willard's Creek, probably after one of the men on their thing. And I'm sure that they made some sort of crude map. I don't know. But, yeah, these guys came upon it, and there was such a big grasshopper infestation that the guy named it the creek, the Grasshopper.
So it's a
It's
little...
like, the creek is called the Grasshopper. I'm like, that sounds like a mine or a ice cream flavor. Or
Right.
I don't know. It's a pizza. It's
Yeah.
the Grasshopper.
Yeah.
Or a
And
ride at an amusement park. There we go.
that would be fun. So yeah, a little on point. It's like a little on the nose, right? It's like, look, there's a bunch of grasshoppers. Let's call it grasshopper.
They were really imaginative.
Very imaginative. But since these guys were prospectors, right? I mean, they're looking for, any gold in the ground, basically, right? And so they ended up doing some digging around the creek, and they found gold. And they're like, hey, we're not going all the way that way. We'll just start digging
Why
here.
find Gold Creek? This is
Right. This is our own Gold Creek.
yes.
And so they found their own diggings, as they've been so wonderfully called.
And one of the things I thought was interesting was that it started off like with that first fall I believe it was 300. The rest of it was 300 miners there. It just boomed quick. By the next spring, it was like 4,000.
Holy cow.
It was crazy how much it just boomed. That's why they call it a boom town.
Yep. And so what happened on that is a lot of people were up in Gold Creek, and so they had a little village and area up there. And these, we had a bunch of miners throughout Montana, and everybody up on Gold Creek learned that Bannack had a bunch of gold in it. And at that point in time, they called them the Beaverhead Mines. I don't know why, but they did. And so they decided to go down to the Beaverhead Mines because that's where the money was. And so they all went down there, and that's why they boomed up.
I'm imagining the movie Paint Your Wagon, and you have all these miners. They're all pulling into town, and as soon as things start to dry up a little bit, like, oop, there's a strike up here. Let's go there. And they just kind of descend like locusts, eat up all the resources, and then they move to the next town.
And you know what? And that is like the reason why Bannack had a glory day and then a dissipation is because of that exact mentality. Because they were just really, everybody was out there to make their buck. And so they, the ones that were actually doing it honestly, like they would, when they felt the gold dried up, they would move on. Mm-hmm. So I have some information. What's cool is I have this book, and it's by Granville Stewart. He is actually the one that reported the gold find on Gold Creek. And he spent 40 years in Montana. And so he helped start the first cattle association. He actually was doing digging and mining over in Deer Lodge Valley. He actually went to Bannack, lived in Bannack for a little while, and then actually subsequently moved on to Virginia City. And so he has some interesting information about how Bannack was in its early days. So
Before it was Montana.
before it was Montana, yeah. So I'll go through it in, it's a short couple, short 3 paragraphs. So it said the Bannack mines were easily worked, being mostly bars of gold bearing gravel on the banks of the creek, lying at from 10 to 12 feet above the water in the stream. At the edge of these bars, there was but a thin layer of rich gravel on the underlying limestone bedrock, and I, several times, saw the miners pull up the small sagebrush that grew on the edge of the bars, and shaking off the sand and fine gravel that adhered to the roots into a pan, which they then carried to the creek and obtained, carried to the creek and obtained from 25 cents to $1 to the pan in small pieces of beautiful gold. This caused the saying at Bannack that you could pan gold out of the sagebrush.
That would be fun.
Right? Have you ever been gold panning?
With fake fool's gold, yeah.
In water, right? Not in a sagebrush.
Like at a park that you pretend.
Oh, okay.
So you're looking out there at the prairie, you see all the sagebrush, and then it just shimmers when the sun comes up.
And you're like, there's gold in them there bushes.
Those are rattlesnakes. Don't touch them.
So he said, Bannack City during this winter gradually drew to itself the greater part of the people, then scattered over the region round about, and by spring, mining was assuming large proportions. Many gamblers and desperate characters drifted in, lured by the prospect of acquiring gold dust without digging for it. It became custom to go armed at all times. So you can see with prosperity, right, comes the
That's
buttheads.
why I go
The
armed when I go
vultures.
to Taco Bell.
Worried about someone going to
Safety.
steal your chalupa? And this next part I found the most fascinating. It says the miners of Bannack met and established a miners' court. B.B. Burchett was elected judge and Henry Crawford sheriff. So this is right in 1862 when it was founded. A mining claim was 100 feet up or down the creek and as far out on each side as the pay dirt extended. They were numbered 1, 2, and etc. above or below the discovery as the case might be. Title to a claim was established by staking it and posting a notice, and then taking it to the recorder and having it recorded. The claimant was then obliged to work his claim every day when water was available. An absence of 3 days constituted a forfeiture, and the claim could then be jumped. In the case of sickness, the claim was protected until such time as the owner was able to resume work. The laws laid down by a miners' court were very simple and absolutely just. There was no appeal from the court's decision. These early day miners were men of unquestionable honesty and integrity, and there was little disposition to infringe upon the rights of others. Consequently, the law was followed to the letter.
That's really interesting.
You wouldn't find that now.
Tom hasn't
Oh,
been
heck
there for
no.
4 days. It's mine now.
Right?
And Tom comes back on day 5. It's like, what the heck? It's like, you left it.
You left it. Yeah, you left it. You had 3 days, man. So it's like, basically what it's saying is you get a weekend off.
It's like, I had dysentery. Can you prove it?
Well, in a town of 300, I bet you know who's got dysentery.
All those thin walls.
Right? It's like, ew.
That's just interesting that I wouldn't think that they would be as honest. Just from the world that we live in now. I mean, there's a lot of honest people, but I don't know. It just surprises me when there's money on the line.
Yeah, when it comes to greed, when it comes
Yeah.
to money, when it comes to things like that,
Yeah,
people
people kill each other over
Yeah.
just a claim. How did they just stake a claim?
they'll
and then,
ruin
like,
their
not-
own family
yeah,
to get money.
So how did you not? I mean, I can just see them like put a stick in, put a little note on it. This is mine.
Yeah.
And before they can get to the recorder's office, someone goes and goes, switch the notes. It's like, what are you talking about? That's mine. It's got my name on it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way we would think of it now, right?
Or they just shoot him and then like, oh, he doesn't need it anymore. Can I have it?
Yeah. But if you think like Grasshopper Creek, it's in Bannack there, right? But if you noticed when you're driving up I-90, you go over Grasshopper Creek.
I did not notice.
So you're talking 20 miles ish.
It was when I went up. It was in the dark, and it was. Yeah, I couldn't see much
Yeah.
of anything.
There's this little. It's not too far south of the turnoff to go to Bannack, but there's this little bridge, and it says Grasshopper Creek.
Yep.
I wouldn't even see. I didn't even know at the time when we were driving up there that it was called Grasshopper Creek.
Oh,
That wasn't
okay.
until after the fact, when doing homework.
Yeah.
Till you told me it was Grasshopper Creek.
So, from what I've read, like Bannack doesn't have like this great, like glorious history, right? It existed for 100 years, but there just happens to be one character from Bannack's history that is notorious and kind of puts its name on the map. So, and that is Mr. Henry Plummer.
Great grandfather to Christopher Plummer of Von Trapp fame. Just kidding. I don't even know.
The Von Trapps would have been.
No, they were in Austria. No, I'm talking about the actor who played Mr. Von Trapp.
I never paid that close attention to the
You
actors.
don't know? Oh my gosh.
Like I've seen the movie a lot. I just didn't do that much.
We did discover on this trip to Montana that Terry and I watch a lot of movies and nobody else knows them. Like talking about Brubaker. You're like, what?
What are you talking about?
Robert Redford. Who?
Oh, I know who
I know
Robert
who that
Redford
is.
is. Didn't he start like a festival here in Utah?
Yeah, maybe a small one.
Yeah.
Never been.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
So,
tell us about Mr. Plummer.
so after the initial sheriff, he didn't last very long as being sheriff. He stopped being sheriff, and Mr. Henry Plummer became sheriff. And there ended up being a bunch of like bad things that started happening in there. This road aging gang started running around. and robbing stagecoaches, and generally just causing terror and murder and mayhem in the area.
I have to say, road agents isn't exactly a name that strikes fear. It's like
Road agents.
road agents. It sounds like a government firm,
Right? Sounds like a roadie.
right?
Yeah, these were back from the old westerns, right? These are the guys that would come up, ride up on horseback, and take down, hold everybody up and
Rob
them.
the coach, rob the bank.
Yep, all of that stuff. So they were actually really talented in what they would do. In one of the cases, they would actually, on one of the stagecoaches, they put a guy on the coach, and then they would stop at the coach had to stop at this location, like a refill station, right? So
Watering holes, yeah.
they get new horses and stuff, right? And they would get that guy in on it, and so they're like, "Oh, there's no horses. You're gonna have to stay here tonight." And so they'd purposely delay them so that in the next day, with their new guy, with their person on board that's part of them, and then they would they would come and surround the stagecoach, and the guy would be like, "Don't shoot, we'll give you anything you want," right? Being all innocent, and come to find out he was in on it too, just to get people to comply.
It's awesome.
Awesome until they do something stupid, which these guys were bound to.
Criminals always do.
Always do. So in December of 1863, the road agent gang ended up cruelly killing a well-loved young man. I don't know who the guy was. I haven't seen his name. And then one of the ranchers found the body and brought it back into town. One of the people who lived in town, his name was Dick Pace. He said that this was the final straw. So they ended up forming up a posse or a vigilante group, right? And they went hunting these guys. So they took 6 weeks and hunted down and picked up these road agents. They tried them and hung them, and they hung at least 22 men. So I don't know if they actually hung on the gallows that are located in Bannack, but I know that they were hung. And so, as outlaws are, prone to do, right? As soon as they get caught, it's not me. You want that guy, right? One of them ended up fingering Henry Plummer.
Means he pointed him out.
Yes, nothing dirty here, people.
He implicated
Yes,
Sheriff Henry Plummer.
He implicated the sheriff. So
That's brilliant, though.
oh, it's absolutely brilliant.
It
Right?
sounds like politics these days.
Yeah. So they went and picked him up. They actually threw him in his own jail, right? So there's a jail in town that he built. And then the next day they brought him out to the gallows that he built and hung him.
Yes, but what did he tell them before they hung him?
So before they were able to hang him, or before they hung him, right? We kind of get that, hey, do you have any last words type of deal, right?
I regret that I have but one life to give for my... Never mind, that's somebody else.
Yeah, it was somebody else. He said, give me 2 hours and a horse, and I will return with my weight in gold.
Ooh.
And
That's a tempting proposition.
right? And before anything else came of it, they hung him,
They kicked the stump out from under him.
and that was it.
It's like, that's a lot of gold, which means he knew that there was a lot of gold.
Well, they stole a lot of gold.
Well, basically, he admitted
Maybe they were like...
Yeah,
that he had it.
yeah.
well, maybe they were like, yeah, we got enough.
I just think it was like, am I really going to give you a horse in 2 hours' time? Like, if I give you 2 hours, you could be anywhere.
Yeah.
You
Well,
would
they
have to
could.
have a bunch of people with him to make sure he wouldn't take off.
Well, yeah,
You would
just
have
like-
to.
It's like, it's a group. Let's go.
Yeah.
If you give us 300 pounds in gold, I don't know how big he was, but I don't know.
Let's say like 150.
I mean, it's like when they're finding like turning in gold in like ounces. You have to have your weight in gold. That's a lot,
That is a lot.
especially in the 1800s.
Yeah. That would have been, several thousands of dollars of gold, which
Maybe even more than that.
maybe. Like, I saw a thing where they
Somebody
took out...
Googled the exchange rate for gold in 1862.
actually, which is interesting, is in this book, there's a ledger of gold that was taken out of these areas. So Ophir had...
That's a town in Utah. Just, you guys, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about?
It had $2 million worth of gold taken out of it. And I did the math on it to or find the exchange rate on it, what it would be today, and it was like $7.5 million. So it's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
So, and they were just trading in gold dust, is what they were doing. So it's like, wow, that is nuts. So, and his gold has never been found. There was a story back from 1900 or 1902. Two men showed up in town with 2 trunks, and they put them in the vault area, which that building isn't there. I don't think the building's there anymore. But one guy sat on them the whole night, and they left town and never were seen again. So,
Interesting.
did they find his gold?
Possibility.
They had something valuable in those. Like, you wouldn't just, leave an armed person on them the whole time. So,
We'll never know.
we will never know.
So, in 1862, an ounce of gold was worth $27.35. But you have to look at what the value of $27 was in 1862.
a horse.
$27, that's like a team of horses probably.
No,
I
one.
don't know. One horse?
One horse. Horses in 1862 were going anywhere from $20 to $100.
So a crappy horse.
Was $20.
Yeah.
Rifles were being sold anywhere from $20 to $40 a piece.
But this is also the frontier where you need... It's hard to survive.
Well, it's demand.
This is
thing.
life. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not like you have like a mercantile everywhere.
No, and the thing is
They're
that
far and few between.
in 1862, Montana wasn't a state. In fact, it wasn't even part of the U.S. at that time. They talk about constantly talking about in this book about going back to the states, which means actually going back into like Nebraska and Iowa area. So like this still wasn't even considered part of the U.S. at that time. They didn't even consider them part of the U.S. Like the Civil War was being fought at this time.
Right.
And they're just out there mining gold. So, and they had no monetary system except for gold dust. So that's
There you
how
go.
that was the time that was the
Instead of getting shot at by another army, they're getting shot at by Indians and
yep.
the road agents.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So one of the things I thought was interesting was in the saloon there in town, I believe it was the road agents, one of their things that they had was a kind of a code. It was like a number that they would give, and it would kind of identify yourself as a road agent. And if you knew what it meant, nobody seems to know for sure what it is. And I got some of this information from the saloon there, and then the other information was in that auto museum up there in Deer Lodge. And the number is 3-77. Sorry, 3-7-77. So 3777. And the leading theory on it is that it was 3 feet wide, 7 feet long, and 77 inches deep, which is what a grave is, which all criminals know where they're going. And so basically, it was kind of I'll die before
I'll die before I tell.
Type of a thing. Interesting thing about that is in that auto museum in Deer Lodge, there was a circa 1970 highway patrol car. So those old blue, stuff like some of the Dukes of Hazzard, like Roscoe P. Coltrane used to drive.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah.
So, and there was a big plaque there, and on the Montana State Troopers badges to this day, in honor of that old tradition, there's 3-7-77. It's on all of the Montana. It's on their seal, and so it's on all of their badges. Is that 3-7-77?
Wow.
That's crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Kind of, anyway.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. Okay, sorry,
So,
continue.
So the demise of Bannack, right? I mean, this is a boom town, right, for gold, right? So the only thing that's going to stop it from being a boom town is either the gold runs out or a richer claim gets found. And that's what ended up happening, is that Virginia City, gold gets found. The rumors come out that people are taking $1,000 a day in gold.
Wow.
That's a lot, right?
It's like a wagon load.
Exactly. And so everybody leaves, they pack up their stuff, and they go to Virginia City. And that pretty much spells the end
And
of...
there's like 20 honest people that are left behind with this
Yeah.
giant town.
Yeah. I mean, people obviously stayed around, right? They had mercantiles and butchers and,
People growing their families and
exactly, running the school and whatnot, right? And so not everybody would go, and it was only 73 miles to Virginia City. But yeah, I mean, that really took the boom out of Bannack at the time, and everyone kind of dwindled down from there. And then you had the one poor lady left over.
So one of the things that they did have there, they did also have a Masonic lodge that they actually had there, a lodge chapter there, and it still is there.
And it's
And-
above the school.
It's above the school, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. But what was the, again, going back to that number, you know what the lodge number is?
Is it
Lodge number 3777.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So,
Yeah, in fact, a lot of the people in town were Masons. So one of the neatest places is this cabin that was built by a Frenchman. And if you look at the corners of all the cabins, right, all of them are either a single dovetail, which is a triangle slot cut, right, or just a square ends on it, right? But his was the double dovetail, right? So it's this triangle essentially on the ends, and everything fits together super nice and super tight. And his is the only cabin that has that there. And remember, this is 1800s, right? These are all hand hewn logs.
that would have taken a lot of work.
Yeah, it shows the craftsmanship.
but
of-
skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we see that now. I mean, just even some of the old buildings. If you go to Scotland, right? I love Scotland, but you look at some of the things, and they're built to last. Things are built to last. So
Yeah.
just because they didn't have technology then doesn't mean they were stupid and lived in.
Well, and what was cool too is you would go through and they would insulate their houses with newspapers, and there's cool newspaper clippings in there, huh, Jamie?
Yes, like, that season's women's swimsuits. That was pretty cool.
And it's ironic that that's the only piece of that paper that's available to see.
Right?
Where was that?
It's one of the back cabins. You guys didn't go. It's off the main. So if you're going up the
it's on
main way,
Bachelor's Row.
no, it's past Bachelor's Row in the back. It's like a White House back there.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
It's like swimsuit edition, and she is fully clothed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Down.
She's
no,
in a dress, man.
She's got bare ankles.
Can you imagine trying to swim in something like
No,
that? That'd
you'd be way down.
Talent.
Well, she also had a parasol too.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
different.
Swim with a parasol. That's beachwear. You don't take that in the pool.
The other thing too it's really neat is so they'd put cardboard down, they'd put the newspaper down, and they'd always layer it, right? And then some of the houses they would lay fabric
Yeah.
Yeah.
over the walls. And there's one house that had these like I don't know, super creepy drawings in the fabric.
Oh, the faces.
Yeah, they draw
Yeah.
little faces in the
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah.
Super creepy. But I went back into that house and they're not there anymore.
I know. I looked for them too. I didn't see them.
So that was really sad.
But I do have pictures of them.
Yeah, they're super creepy. If we can find them, we'll post them on our
yeah.
Facebook page
Yeah.
for you guys all to see.
So let's talk about the town. We visited. Just one thing before we jump into or did you have more to talk about the town?
No, go ahead.
So the town, again, my lovely wife Terry, who's not with us today, she is doing some stuff with the daughter. So
Coco.
we never really introduced her. Who's here today? Because actually, we're recording this just after we recorded the Montana State Prison one. So
It's all the same people.
all the same people. Terry is still not here, but we miss her. But anyway, she did send me some information. The town of Bannack is spelled Bannack, which is really weird. Because if you're familiar with the western U.S., you've heard of probably the Bannack Indian tribe. They were a Paiute tribe over the eastern Oregon, Nevada, Utah, Idaho area. And that's what they actually named the town after. but it's spelled with an O-C-K. And in 1863, they sent a form or an application to the United States government to name the town to be an official town. And somebody in Washington, D.C. couldn't read the writing and inadvertently changed the O in Bannack to an A. And then filed it as Bannack with an A. So now it's Bannack or Bannack. I don't know. But anyway, interesting pieces of info, I thought. But anyway, so as far as the town, what did you guys see? We walked through, we went to different places. Elisa, you see things, and, you know, what have you guys experienced? Why is it a ghost town other than just a creepy abandoned town out in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, like, why don't you guys talk about the things that you experienced before this year?
Make it scary. It's a ghost town.
So once in the dark.
Oh.
Wait, I've never been in the dark.
Nope.
Been in the lightning.
The lightning and the thunder and the wind.
Yeah, and the daylight, but never in the dark.
No.
But there's the Hotel Mead there, and they have a more famous haunting, I guess that you could say that's there.
Yeah, it's rumored.
Yeah, it's rumored, and that's a gal by the name of Dorothy Dunn. She was 16 when she died, and she was going to go bathe with her friends in the Grasshopper Creek. And she ended up stepping into a dredge hole, which is...
Well, all three of them did.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So these young girls, they I think they're all about... Well, Dorothy Dunn's about 16. I don't know the other two.
I don't think they ever said.
I got the impression they were all teenagers, though.
I don't know that the other two were. But anyways, they went down there in the creek to bathe, and... they had dredged in that spot, and these girls couldn't swim. And on knowing that spot was deeper than what they anticipated, they stepped in, they went under. There was a young man that was walking by, and he noticed them in distress, and he was able to save two of them. And then he wasn't able to get to Dorothy Dunn in time. By the time they pulled her out, she was gone. They ended up taking her back to the Hotel Mead. But yeah, she's said to haunt there, because
Yes.
apparently I heard that her mother had worked there at the Hotel Mead.
I haven't heard that, but...
Can you imagine working there and then coming across everyone carrying your daughter inside?
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's got to create a lot of emotion and a lot of energy in that place.
Yeah, and it said that they've caught a couple EVPs. I mean, I listened to one where... it's where you go up the spiral staircase, because there's that big, elegant staircase, but those top doors were shut. At the time, nobody was allowed up there. Sometimes they are shut, and you're not allowed upstairs. And I can't remember who it was, but he had went up there, and I thought it was Baggins, but I don't
think it was.
I don't know.
Anyways,
yeah, he was saying something through the door, and you heard her, he said something, are you like chicken or something? Why don't you, show us you're here, or let us, hear you? And she said something like little chicken and giggled, and it sounded like it was just on the other side of that closed door.
Never mind, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't hear that. I thought you were talking about something else.
No.
And then I think some people have claimed to have captured images of Dorothy on the staircase.
Yeah, that I don't know. I haven't heard that.
So,
on the Ghost Adventures one, there was an investigator they interviewed who said he was pushed down the stairs by Dorothy.
that doesn't seem like that would be Dorothy.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then he goes, if I'd have been to the left, I would have fallen all the way downstairs. Because I was to the right, I was able to catch myself on the
Railing.
Maybe it was just dark.
Oh yeah, and he seemed spooked. But I think with situations like that, they're just assuming it's the one ghost that they've heard about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's like Ghost Adventures. They hear about one ghost, and then the whole time
that's their
is
focus.
this Dorothy? Are you Dorothy? Dorothy, can you do this? It's like, what about the other 5,000 ghosts that are here that are willing to
In
play?
town, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you got to figure, like, there's so many different people that have died in that town. It's 100 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's like the one person. Like, the cemetery's full of bodies.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the Ghost Adventures way.
Yeah. But sorry, it's getting late.
You become more snotty when it gets late?
I'm always snotty.
Ew, gross.
Story of my life. So, my first paranormal experience happened in that hotel. And now when I say paranormal experience, I mean as more as an adult in that avenue.
Was this pre-investigator, Josh?
This was investigator curious Josh at the time, because I actually had a digital recorder on me at the time. But we were in that hotel, and we went on a normal. Actually, I think we went on a weekday.
Yeah, it was pretty darn empty.
Yeah. If you go on a weekday to Bannack, even in the summertime, it's a ghost town.
It's a ghost town.
And so we were in there, and I think we were like one of 8 cars in the parking lot. And I was in the back kitchen area, and I was kind of in, right by where the hallway enters in, and I see this black orb, about like this. So, you guys, for all you at home,
Size of a softball?
yeah, about the size of a softball, and it goes up one of the doors and then in. So, if you're coming from the front of the building, there's this little little room right to the right hand side. It went into that room, and I was like, "Well, that was really weird." So I walk over. I'm like, the first thing you want to do is try to debunk it, right?
Yeah.
So it's a sunny day. I'm like, bird, right? Bird will cast a shadow. So I walk over to the window and I take my hand up, and this is where Jamie finds me. I was running my hand up and down the window, creating a
She's
shadow.
like, what the freak are you doing?
And I'm like, okay, no, I can create it,
But it's not
but it's not
dark.
even dark. It's
Yeah.
like, it's there, but it's a 1/10 of the darkness of this ball. And I'm like, that is really cool. And of
Yeah.
course, personal experience, because, I didn't have anything on me at the time running.
That's where a majority of ghost hunting is personal experience.
I
That's
know,
why we
it
keep
is.
coming back.
Oh, exactly.
Trying to document the things that we've seen and experienced, and
Yep.
Yep.
plus just being a junkie to have it happen again.
And the crazy thing is that's not the only paranormal experience we had on that trip to Bannack.
No, it's not. It's one of a handful of small
Yeah.
ones.
So what happened after that?
Well, I remember we were going. Well, we had my brother with us.
No, that was before your brother.
No, was it?
Yeah, it was. It was just you
Oh,
and
you're
I.
talking about the closet.
I'm talking about the closet.
So we go in this one house, and I don't even remember which one it was.
It's the fancy house on the left.
All right, well, good enough. Anyways,
Everyone knows that house.
It is. Hold on.
That's the one you don't go trick-or-treating to. Actually, I wouldn't go trick-or-treating in any of those houses. You ain't going to get nothing.
are you done?
It would be
I got
creepy
nothing.
in the dark, though.
Oh, it's the Roe Graves house.
The Roe Graves
Maybe
house?
wait,
The Roe Graves house.
Okay, so we were in the Roe Graves house, and Josh and I were just kind of looking around. We come across this doorway, and it reminds you again, it's a beautiful, bright, sunny day. So a lot of these buildings we're going into are very lit. We kind of look in this one doorway, and it's like pitch black, and we're thinking, what is this? We're thinking, I don't know. It was so black you could not see what was in there, and it's like, oh, I don't want to step through here. I can't see anything.
See, and that's the darkness that we talked about in the last episode.
Yeah.
Where
just-
it just gets so dark. It's like a thick dark.
Can't penetrate it
Yeah.
with nothing. So I happen to have a nice camera on me with a really nice flash, and so I kind of put it in front of me, and I hold down the button just enough to let it'll click, and then the lights will
The flash?
kind of flash, and without taking a picture. And even with this light coming, shooting into there, we can't see anything. You still can't tell what this is, what room, where this goes. I inadvertently, though, in the process of using the flash, snapped off a couple quick photos. And as I went back and looked at them, there's like this white mist that's there. It's only in the first picture. It is not in the second picture.
Oh, that's cool.
So when we came back, what was it, the following year?
The following year, yeah.
We came back and we went back to that house thinking, oh, let's go see and if we can get something again. But you could see in it, and you could plainly see it was this small closet with a couple of doors off the hinges leaning up against in there.
It's a 2 foot deep by
It's-
3 foot wide closet.
Yeah,
It's
that's all it was.
it's tiny.
But what was in there that made it so dark that you couldn't penetrate it no matter
And this
what?
was daylight, right? When you
Broad daylight,
Like
bright,
noon.
sunny,
so
beautiful.
usually that would illuminate enough that you could see the back wall.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which
Crazy.
this last time we went there, we showed Elisa that closet,
We
Yeah.
did.
and it was like, here's this closet.
You could
You don't
see
even
it.
have to stand in the same room and you can see inside it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just
So that's crazy cool that it got that dark in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I do like that you mentioned that, yeah, when you take pictures, especially if you're doing a paranormal investigation, you always take them in sets of like 3, you know, because that way, if something is in one picture and not in another, you know, then, or if it moves across the screen in the different pictures, then,
Or if it stays in the
or if
same.
it stays, it's just
Yeah.
easier to debunk or to see
Yeah.
exactly what things are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when it's in one and not another one, then that's very curious.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's
So-
cool that white mist was in one, but not in the
Not
other.
in the
Yeah.
second
Yeah.
one.
Because
Yeah.
like generally when you take pictures and you see something in the same spot and it doesn't ever move and you
Mm-hmm.
go back and you try to take pictures, then you can rule it out.
Right.
Ghosts are quick.
They're quick. It's like,
Speedy
oh,
little devils.
he's like, shoot, got a picture of me, gone. in the second one, so
And that was our first ever trip to my first ever trip to Bannack.
yeah,
I don't know if you've been there before.
once. Yeah.
So, and we bought a digital recorder
we did.
for
Yeah.
the purpose of doing some EVP sessions, and I
Yeah.
did a very short EVP session in that room that I saw the orb go into, and I felt stupid.
You always do, starting off.
So
I'm talking to myself.
Embrace the stupid.
Right?
oh, exactly.
That's how it works.
But you do feel weird, right? And then, you know, it's a little more self-conscious too, because you got other people walking around, and so it's like, I don't want someone walking by and having me sitting there in this room on the floor talking to myself.
That's why I always waited, because it was such a dead day there. Like, you know, no real people, like 8 cars in the parking lot. I just wait them out. Because most people you'll find they'll come in, they'll go through real quick, and they're out, and they're on to the next.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and that day the upstairs was not open.
no, it was not open.
It was
We
locked.
never got to go upstairs.
So this is where it's fun to have stuff with you, like dowsing rods, right? I'm a big proponent. I love dowsing rods. But you could go in there. I could sit in there, and I don't know how the park rangers would feel about us doing it during the day.
I
could
don't know.
But I could sit there on the floor, and if I could get down on the floor, I'm a little fat. But if I could sit there somewhere and like someone comes walking in, I could just ask questions. Say, "Hey, you guys want to ask a ghost any questions?" You know, and then people probably give you a weird look. And then they go away,
Yeah.
or they can go, "Really?" Say, "Yeah." It's like, "Yeah, ask anything you want." And then they turn into investigators.
Yeah.
But it is an awkward thing. I like that you mentioned that. I used to be on a different team. We used to do public ghost hunts, and it was always frustrating because I'm leading these group of new people, and nobody will ever ask any questions because they all feel stupid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Self-conscious, yeah.
Yep. And once you get past the fear, man,
Yeah.
this is a wild ride.
And the
It's
way
fun.
the way I always describe it to people who are new, like I did this with Travis too when we were talking about EVP sessions. I said, look, you're gonna feel weird asking questions. I was like, because you're gonna feel like you're talking to the dark, and like, and you know what? That's okay, because a lot of times you are,
Yeah.
and you just once you understand that it's just you're hoping to hear something, then you just kind of understand that it's just when you're gonna listen back to it, all you're gonna hear is yourself talking most of the time.
Yeah.
And it's fun just because it brings back memories. You're like, oh yeah, I remember exactly how I felt when I said that.
Exactly. It's like, oh, that was so much
To
fun.
relive it.
But yeah, that was all. I think that was all that happened to us our first trip together.
Yeah.
There
And we got a few EVPs when we took Stacy back.
we did, which was the following year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we brought the digital recorder back with us, the same digital recorder. In fact, I actually still have that digital recorder.
Is it like in a glass case? This was the recorder we had when we first started.
This was the OG.
No,
It's like baby shoes.
no, it's actually in my case I bring with us all the time to
We still
investigate.
use
I
it.
used to use it.
It's tough because like now, like everyone, like all of these files we get for these, digital recorders, they usually do like an MP3 format or a WAV format. This is a VOC format.
What's that?
I have no idea. But you have to download a special software that costs money to convert it.
Oh, geez.
And so it's
Upgrade.
like, yeah, so like don't use it a whole lot, but we've gotten great EVPs on it. But that one, I just turned it on and we went through the city.
Well, we weren't meaning to leave it running the whole time.
It was
that we took
accidental.
Stacy. It was totally accidental, and we just ended up catching like I think 3 or 4 EVPs.
3, yeah.
No,
And a lot of
there's-
wood steps.
A lot of
Lot
wood
of wood
steps.
steps.
Everywhere you
Lot of
step,
creaking.
it's like crazy loud.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
It's old, and
It's
it's
like
not been
boardwalk
done.
planks. Like all of the
Yeah.
sidewalks are boardwalk planks, and so
Yeah.
you sound like you're running across the gymnasium floor with. I mean, you're wearing sneakers, right? And you're like, ain't nobody sneaking up on you.
No. Unless they're not living. But the first place we got, there was this old, and it's actually open now, I think. But there was this old like apothecary shop, and so Stacy in his former work life used to be like a medical delivery man. I don't know.
Person? Individual?
Person. We're
Person.
in 2020 now.
That's true. He was an individual that delivered meds to people, and so I was just kind of like razzing him a little bit, and he's like, "Yep, doomed in life, doomed in this life, and doomed in the previous one type of deal." And then we get this EVP that goes, "What?" All you
It was
hear
a
is,
man.
It was a man. You hear what?
there's a whisper.
It was very quiet. And then I was walking into the row house, the same one we got the shadow in, right?
Yeah.
And I was first, Jamie was behind me, and then Stacy was behind her. And I'm kind of dictating as we're walking. And I walked into this pantry, and I was like, yeah, this is where they held their, vegetables and whatnot. And I get the same male voice go, what?
Same thing.
Oh, cool.
Same voice.
Yeah.
See, that's when you're doing a spirit box session, you're listening and looking for that same voice that you can hear over and
Yeah.
over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It
awesome.
was so cool.
Well, and then we went back by a blacksmith shop.
Yeah, and that's behind, kind of behind the Mead, the Hotel Mead, back
Yeah,
in
a little
that
bit.
section, just back away, Rattlesnake Row area.
Yep.
And we were just kind of looking at all the stuff they had up on the walls. They had a bunch of tack and stuff in there, and then we got this EVP of a horse.
Yeah. Kind of like, when they exhale through their nostrils and they make like that sound. That's what it was.
I do that all day.
That's cool.
It was awesome. I
Yeah.
was like, because there's no horses out there these
Right.
days. So,
Did it startle you?
Well, I mean, we didn't hear it at the time.
It was an
on
EVP, so we're like,
playback.
that's cool.
That was
That is
cool.
See, if
Really
you heard it
cool.
live and then you felt like the nuzzle of like the horse on your
Oh, I would have
Back
been
of your
staying
neck,
there forever.
I would have pooped.
No, I would have
ghost
been staying there.
horses in the barn.
I think we got another one up in the Masonic Lodge as well.
Oh,
When we were talking about the pie safe.
I don't remember what it was said though.
I don't either. But I remember we got
What's the
one.
pie safe? Tell us about the pie safe.
So, we actually got to go in the Masonic Lodge. So the Masonic Lodge is closed off, right? There's doors that you can look through, but we actually we talked to the park ranger. It's a dude with the long hair. If you ever watched the Ghost Adventures episode, he's the one that he's being interviewed. We talked to him, and I asked, "Hey, can we go up into the Masonic Lodge?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll take you guys up there." And so we went up into the Masonic Lodge, and in this corner is what is that? So there's this square box, more like rectangle, like tall rectangle, like a small bookcase looking thing, right? And it had this tin on the outside, and in the front of it, it was kind of ornate, and it had all these little holes punched in it. And I'm like, what is that? He's like, it's a pie safe. I'm like, what is a pie safe? Because
Somebody's going to steal your pie?
exactly, like, who's going to steal your pie?
My hostess
Oh,
pie.
I'm sure it happens.
Oh, I'm
Well, and-
sure.
I can't wait. This guy's talking too long. I want my pie.
And, what is it made out of?
It's wood
pie?
and tin.
Yeah.
Flour, water,
Yeah.
sugar.
Fruit.
Stop.
Well, and silly me for thinking that people just put their pies on their windowsill. Like, that's what.
Well, that's how they get stolen.
that's how Bugs Bunny told us it happened.
That's how they get stolen.
That's how people get abducted. Haven't you seen Seven Brides for Seven Brothers?
Yes.
No.
That's how Dorcas got. No. Alice. I don't remember. Anyway.
Anyway, so what you do is you'd put your pie in the pie safe, and it would allow it to cool, but the little holes allowed the air to escape, so it would cool.
But the flies.
Flies couldn't get in.
Yeah.
So it was a way to protect your pies from
the flies.
Which I'm sure with all the horses in town.
Oh, I bet
there
there was
were
a
lot
lot.
of flies.
Even the people. I mean, how often did you bathe?
You didn't.
Once a year if you were good.
Well, you gotta remember they had a creek they can go bathe in, so like it was easier for them then.
Yeah, but they still stink.
Oh, of course. There's no deodorant.
It's
back then.
1800s, yeah. They
Like
didn't bathe often.
good smelling shampoo and conditioner and
That's
body
right.
soap
Body
and
wash.
Yeah.
Loofahs.
So, what was interesting though is they had a lot of dances in town in Bannack in the
Oh, that'd be so
1862.
fun.
So there was a couple fiddle
Dance?
players.
yeah,
Why?
dancing.
Yeah.
That'd be a blast.
So here's what's interesting about it, right? Is that they had a couple fiddle players come along, right? And these people this couple would hold these dances, and it was like $5 gold to go to the dance, and there was no food provided. But there weren't that many women in town. And so the guys would either have to dance with a woman or another guy.
yeah.
That actually.
And they just didn't care,
It's
right?
not that uncommon. Dancing
No.
was just fun
No.
to do anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
It was social.
And their fancy best was a nice flannel shirt.
Oh man, I'd love it. I think it'd be so dang fun.
So yeah, they had fun stuff back then. Just
they
different.
actually back. If you know much about the pioneer history, they lived to party and have dances.
Yeah,
It was the highlight of life.
yeah, and they didn't
Life's
take
hard.
much, right?
No, it doesn't
Like,
take much.
Two fiddle players, and they're out there sitting in there dancing, and I don't know
I
how
would
many.
hate to be that fiddle player.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
saying.
You would never get a break.
No.
Yeah, but do you think you got a cut though? Like if the cover was $5 a head, right? Do you think they got a couple?
Yeah, but
bucks
could you
to-
imagine how long you'd have to be playing for? And you'd never get to go out and go dance. You'd have to be stuck
No, I
playing the
think they
fiddle
en-
every
I think
time.
they enjoyed
sucks.
watching the people dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so.
But even just simple, play your harmonica again, Jim. It's like Jim sucks at harmonica. Nobody wants to hear that. It's like, no, play the harmonica, Jim. We need it.
We need something to entertain
Something.
us, something to distract us from the dreary life of living on the prairie.
That's simple joys, though.
Yep. So, last year after we went to our investigation, right? Do you need something?
Nope.
Okay. I was looking at my wife, and she's like looking at you. I'm like,
Well, I'm just listening.
okay.
I'm just happy to be here.
I'm just looking around.
So, last year after our investigation at Deer Lodge, we stopped off at Bannack again. We kind of make it like this fun little trip piece, and we had some paranormal stuff happen to us then too, as well, didn't we?
Well, I recall one thing. For me, anyways.
Yeah, that was only the one thing we had.
Oh, well, you said some.
Well, it's some as in one for me and one for you.
Yeah. Well, so we were in the Hotel Mead, and Josh was kind of in the back kitchen area, and I kind of walked back there, and he said he felt like something was back there. And I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't really paying attention to it. And then we start kind of walking towards the next room over to the back staircase leading upstairs. And as I walk by this one spot, it's cold, and I hear a woman like right in my right ear say, "Welcome." So
Oh, that's cool.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it was right in the spot that I said that someone was standing.
Yeah. Which I didn't realize it was that exact spot. He just said he felt something back over there, and I was like, I wasn't even paying attention. I was just like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
So,
Did you know you can see through the pop filters?
yeah, why?
I'm sitting here like, look at you guys. I'm getting goofy.
It's late.
I'm like,
So,
Anyway.
yeah, and so that kind of rounds up our paranormal experiences there. I mean, it's definitely a place I want to go investigate. But this year when we went, it sounds like Elisa had some stuff that happened.
if you don't have the funding of Discovery Channel, will they let you investigate there?
Yes.
Will they?
Oh yeah.
You just got to get a hold of them.
Yep. I'm working on that. They
In
don't.
fact, they used to, at Halloween, have an overnight there. And there's this cool photo, if you go into the gift shop and you ask to see it,
Yep.
It's of the group of them all dressed up in their Halloween costumes on Halloween night.
Why didn't
but
we
there's an
look at that?
extra something there.
An extra minor there.
There's an extra mind.
Dang it, we should have looked at that.
Yeah.
One night in Bannack makes the heart.
And there's also a picture of the chapel.
Yes.
Because they let investigators go in there, and so the investigators were in there one night, and a guy was standing up at the
Yeah, I've seen this one.
the pulpit, and he takes a picture.
Oh yeah, and there was one person sitting in the seats.
There's two people sitting over on the side.
And then there's a white
Miss?
mist
figure.
of a person
Sitting in there too.
sitting in one of the seats.
Yeah.
So cool.
That's a really cool one.
Yeah.
So, and they don't hide. Bannack doesn't hide from their haunted history.
Well, it brings people, right?
Well, it does, but they just don't they don't straight up advertise it either. Like,
No.
you can if you have to ask to see the pictures.
Yep.
Like, they don't just post them everywhere. And I think that's because they don't want to scare the general population.
Yeah, there's people that get creeped out. There's people I work with that, like, I was like, hey, you guys want to see a picture of this? And like, I don't want to see it. I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And the other one's like, let me see, that's so cool.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone has their different the different pieces of how they feel about the paranormal. But go ahead, Elisa. Tell us about this time.
What happened?
What happened? So this time, because it's my only time I've ever been. So we went, obviously, we kind of made our loop around, but we went into the Old Mead hotel, whatever you want to
The
call
Hotel Mead.
it. Hotel Mead. And we walked in and walked up some stairs, and I was with Mike, and just felt some like dude just staring at me in the corner, like leaning up against the wall, staring at me, and I'm like, "Oh, hello!" Like,
Yeah, I was standing. She goes, "Oh, hello." I'm like, "There's somebody there." She's like, "Yeah, right over there." She points over the corner. I'm like, "Oh."
because sometimes I wonder if it's like because they know when you know that they're there, right?
Yeah.
So kind of like took them for surprise, like, you know I'm there.
You can see me?
Hello. So, and then downstairs, there's a vault. So I went downstairs in the vault, and I was just by myself. And I was like, I'm just going to do a little EVP session real quick, just to see. I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just going to sit here and keep it on. Let's see what I can get. And so I did catch an EVP, and we're going to try and play it and see if you guys can hear. If not, just edit this part out. So what it is somebody saying hello. So it's really breathy, which most EVPs are, and it's a hello. Real quick.
Say it one more time, or not say it.
Play
Play
it. I will play it.
Play it one more game. Well, that was right at the beginning of it.
Yep, right at the beginning.
I hear a lot of the hell. I don't hear the O as much.
It's like,
it drifts off.
Yeah.
That's cool. Interesting thing about this vault is this vault was in the hotel. It's actually a vault where they actually locked up all the children inside there to protect them from an Indian raid that happened. And so it's interesting that there are often children's spirits seen in the hotel.
Oh, wow.
I can't imagine there were a lot of spirits. That's not a big vault. I mean, not a lot of children, because that's not a big vault.
Wasn't there one on each side, like in the
Yes.
front room, and then there's a back room, and
Yeah.
there's another vault on the other
I
side?
didn't see the vaults.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't notice them.
Right when you walk in the door on the left-hand side, there's a big old vault.
I was enamored by the big staircase on the right.
Hard not to be, yeah.
It's such a cool staircase.
Like, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so there's a vault on each side.
Yeah.
But there's still, like, I don't know, there's not that much room in there. How many kids can you really fit in there?
But at the same time, it's
I
like
don't know,
if it
probably
was-
like 10 kids in
So
there.
before it was the hotel, though, it was like the county courthouse, and so it would make
Yeah.
sense to have a big vault there, especially if there was like some sort of treasury stuff going on.
Right.
That might be where the miners would take their gold and convert it into money.
Yep.
So maybe that's where they hack. I don't know.
Maybe
It's
like there's some mining offices in town too.
Yeah.
I thought the mining offices were that would happen.
probably.
But yeah, also forgot to mention this earlier, but Bannack was the first capital of Montana.
Yeah.
So it was voted the first capital. So it was the first state capital of Montana when it was a state. Now it's Helena, but
Very interesting.
So then next, walking around the houses and everything, really cool. But then I got to their old jail, and nobody was around me. So I'm like, perfect invitation for me to go over and do another EVP session. So I'd kind of been doing it a little bit throughout, and but these two were the two places that I caught EVPs. And mind you, I'm only doing this for a minute and 30 seconds, right? So they're not long because there are people walking around. But in the prison, or jail, I guess, it's tiny. I mean, it's a 2-cell, that's it, little jail.
it's got grass on the roof. It's like a sod roof.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So you'll hear me ask some questions, and hopefully we can catch the responses.
Were you a guard or an officer? Sheriff? What did you do to get in here?
So what it was I asked, were you a guard or an officer? And then about 5 seconds later, you hear, no. And then I asked, what did you do to get in here? And I think the answer that I got was responding to that previous question. And then you hear in a different voice, yes. So let me play that one more time and then see if you can hear it.
Hit me, baby, one more time.
Were you a guard or an officer? Sheriff? What did you do to get in here?
So hopefully at least you caught that last yes, because that one was pretty loud.
That's so cool.
But very distinct, different
Oh, yeah.
voices. So
That's awesome.
it would be nice to go back in there and investigate more. Oh, that'd be cool.
I would love to investigate that place.
Yeah.
To be able to get 3 EVPs and I'd only recorded for a total of 2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. Like it's like that's 6 EVPs, 7 EVPs, and that's broad daylight. Not
Yeah.
a real investigation going on.
No.
Other people walking around.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an active place. And you gotta figure, like I said, there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of violence and death and all out craziness that went on. So like, it'd be interesting to see what we actually got for evidence. So
Fun stuff.
yeah, we're gonna definitely try to book it. It's just a matter of getting a hold of the right people. It's kind of a challenge to get a hold of people out there. So
Another interesting fun fact about Bannack that my wife gave us, that one of the first buildings they built is no longer there. It's now the parking lot for the visitor center there, but it was a distillery. And that's how you stay warm at
Priorities,
-49.
Right?
right.
Alcohol.
Priorities.
So, in your if you go to Bannack, there's a guidebook that comes that everybody gets. There's a letter in this guidebook, and I've always found this letter intriguing. And I'm just gonna go through the first part because I think it's just absolutely interesting to see how people lived back in the 1860s. Right? It says, "I've been waiting for an opportunity to send a letter to Salt Lake, or I should have written before. We have to pay $1 for sending or receiving each letter. I tasted butter for the first time since we came here, and it was a treat. I can assure you. But as long as long as it's 10 and 12 shillings a pound, I think we shall do without for most of the time. Everything is very high here. Sugar is 75 cents a pound. Pork is 60. Flour from 25 to 30. Nutmeg, 50 cents an ounce.
Yeah, and back then that
was a lot.
I mean, $1 to send or receive mail back then? That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what would happen if you had some mail coming to you and you didn't have money to pay for it? That would stink.
That would suck.
Well, yeah, because like...
It's not like you have telephones and...
Right?
But or was it prepaid?
No, you pay, like, so you give the mailman or the driver or whatever, whoever's sending the mail, $1. And then when you come and get your mail, you give them another $1 to get your mail.
Yeah.
So it's $2 a letter, essentially, to be paid.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Right?
Back then, yeah.
Yeah.
And butter? Oh,
To miss out on butter, 10 and 12 shillings.
but real butter.
Real butter.
They didn't have that crappy margarine back
No.
then.
Hey, what's wrong with margarine?
I don't like it. It's just
Nope.
chemicals.
We'll say it this way: they didn't have Chef Chamois garlic butter
Oh.
or the
That's true.
steakhouse butter.
That's true.
Anyway.
They had real butter from a cow.
Yeah. Well, those all come from cows still.
Yeah, but it was fresh from the cow. Like, you're talking about fresh
No,
churned
no
butter.
added chemicals.
Yeah, and it was hand churned.
Yeah.
Not, I don't even know how they do it now.
In a big machine.
Yep.
You know, it'd be funny if you go in there and you see all these little wooden butter churns with the sticks, and then robotic arms just going up and down.
I think it's a little bit more sophisticated
do
than
that motion again.
No. Okay.
All right. Do you guys have anything else you wanted to add for Bannack? We've probably been rambling long enough.
Not that, other than that, it's an awesome place, and you guys
Go visit.
go visit. It's $10 a carload,
Yep. Not per person, a whole carload.
and it's like $15 a bus.
Oh, I didn't see anything about buses.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just wanted your license plate number, and when you go in, it's like, all right, what's your license? What can you tell us about your car? All right, $10. Here's
Yeah.
your book.
Yep.
Have a good day.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's dog friendly too. They
Yes,
take our little dog around with us everywhere.
it is dog friendly.
I didn't see one rattlesnake, although there were signs.
Yeah.
Well, somebody had spotted one that day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't spot
Look,
one.
they're going to be out there, but
Dog didn't
that's-
find it.
rattlesnakes are shy creatures anyway. Like, they're going to go hide. They're going to stay away from you. And most people who get bit step on them. So just don't let your kids go running off in this place and into
So that
into the
being
weeds.
said, nighttime, when it gets quiet, and when it gets cool and the stakes come out,
So then
you want to go trump around and go investigate?
Yep. Then
Just
what
stay
you
on the main
yeah.
walkways and stuff.
Or then what you do is you go in the winter.
That's true. We did. I mean, we saw a big, decent sized rattlesnake. I don't say big. Out at the Merker Cemetery. Almost stepped right on it. You've heard this. These guys have heard the story.
Yeah.
We'll save it for another time for the show. But we appreciate you guys listening to us. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your family. If you don't like us, still tell your friends, tell your family.
Absolutely.
Check us out on social media. We've got a Facebook page called.
Cold Spot Paranormal Research.
We have another Facebook page called.
Paranormal Peeps podcast.
You can find us on Instagram at the paranormal. Sorry. He was pointing at Lisa, and she's a rubbing her eyes going, I'm done. It's cold spot _paranormal _research. Check us out there. There's also a YouTube page,
Yep, Cold Spot Paranormal Research.
which we need to get some more stuff on the YouTube.
We're
We
gonna
do.
we're gonna have some videos coming up. I'm gonna do some walkthrough videos of Bannack, so you guys can see that.
Yeah. I'll also post some pictures on the Cold Spot Facebook page too
Absolutely.
of Bannack.
So next time, I think we'll be talking something about, just be close to Halloween. We'll talk about some Halloweeny stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Or we might be after Halloween. I don't even know.
We don't know. It's gonna be in the ether.
In the ether. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime,
Stay ghosty, my peeps. Thank you for listening to the Paranormal Peeps podcast. You can find us on social media at Twitter at CPR Paranormal, on Facebook at Paranormal Peeps Podcast and Cold Spot Paranormal Research. And you can find us on Instagram at coldspot_paranormal_research.